Hello, it's Natalie Brynne back again for this week's YouTube video, which is all about learning tricky rhythms on the piano. Over the last 22 years in my one-on-one studio, I always encouraged my students to choose a song of their choice that they could get really excited about and learn, alongside what we were doing in their method books that was designed to build skill upon skill. But I have to admit, my heart always sunk a little bit when they told me they wanted to learn a pop song. Nowadays, there are so many talented artists and they have amazing vocal abilities, but the problem is that their voice comes into the music in such a tricky rhythm, such odd rhythms when it's transferred to piano music that it takes a really long time to be able to learn those songs. So I want to show you some pros and cons with the way traditional music is written, especially for pop songs or songs with tricky rhythm. And I want to show you some things that I've done in Piano with Ease to completely simplify that process such that you could even self-teach yourself a pop song. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to show you some work you can do to go into a song with tricky rhythm and ensure that you will be able to play it correctly. Because there's basically only 3 ways to be able to succeed and play a pop song correctly. Number 1 isn't really even an option for many people because it's those people that are already super good at hearing a rhythm and being able to replicate it. So some people won't even really need the sheet music if they can go to their piano and replicate the exact rhythm and coordinate their left hand part in with it. But that's not a skill that everyone has, and it's not even something that I know how to teach someone to get. It's a lot of ear training and natural intuitive rhythm skills. So the second way is you'll have to know how to read the rhythm off the music and replicate it. But the third way is if you're able to play along with the recording long enough, that will naturally teach you your rhythm as well. In Piano with Ease, I always have a video students can play along with, but I also show the music in such a way that they can learn it just from the music if they had to. I'm going to start with this song, Free Fallin'. This is from musicnotes.com. They always show you the first sheet of music you're thinking of buying. So basically, this is a pop song that is even a little easier than some modern pop songs, but it still has a tricky rhythm. So first I'm going to play how the song is meant to sound so you can hear it. So it's copying what the voice naturally does easy, but you have to know how to do the rhythm in order to succeed at this song. So if a person was playing the way you just heard, it would be completely recognizable. Anyone who heard it who knew the song could say, oh, they're playing Free Falling. But what I've seen students do when they're not paying really precise attention to the rhythm is if they just play through the notes shown, then it can sound kind of clunky and muddy, such as this, starting after this red arrow. So you heard how I was just kind of going on from what I read note to note to note instead of paying any attention to the rhythm, and it totally lost that crisp rhythm that we need to hear. We need the fast notes to be fast, we need the holding notes to be held out to the proper amount of time. And this will take a lot of practice to be able to get it right on. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to just read your way through and get tons of reps in playing the right fingers and the right notes, but not paying attention to the rhythm. You want to do the right rhythm from the beginning so that you don't learn a bad habit, have to go back and undo it and relearn it correctly. Might as well do it from the beginning. So here I'm going to show you some of the things I did to take away that worry for people that are trying to learn a song. And then after that, I'll show you a way that you can actually pre-plan how you're going to play the right rhythm. So in Piano with Ease, I always visualize every single beat that you have to hold in a song. And for example, if you are familiar with ties, you know that if the same notes are held with a line across the measure, then you're supposed to play it here, but then continue holding it for the next measure. And you have to memorize, like, the filled-in notes are 1 beat. These hollow notes without a stem are 4 beats. So you would memorize that you play it and hold 1, 2, 3, 4 counts. But in Piano with Ease, I've tried to make everything just visual so that you don't even have to think too hard. You're just playing and holding wherever it says. And in this song is actually a stage 1 piano with ease song, which means your right hand gets to stay in one position the whole time. So I especially love that such a tricky rhythm song can be played by an absolute beginner in stage 1, which is the beginning level, because you don't have to think about moving that right hand around. So it says we're placing right hand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over middle C, D, E, F, G. And beginning students in piano with ease usually have this number strip to place on their piano anyway, which helps them self-correct immediately and know exactly where their hand should go. So if we were going to play through this first line, we'd put our 3 and our 1 in position, and since they're stacked right on top of each other like a column, we're going to play both those notes at the same time. We're going to play our 3 and our 1 at the same time. So we sync in both, play, hold, hold, play, hold, 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 play, play, hold, play, hold, 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 hold. So see how the holds helped us hold for exactly the right amount of beats, and the numbers above the notes helped you play immediately what you were supposed to play. So if we did it a little faster, it would be play, hold, hold, play, hold, 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 play, play, hold, play, hold, 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 hold. And we're already doing the right rhythm. Of course, if someone ignored the hold arrows and they just played right on, their rhythm would sound awful too. But one of the benefits of playing a piano with ease song is you can turn on a metronome, like this one is set at 90 beats per minute, and then you could practice along with it, one click for each item, whether that's a note or a hold, and it would sound like this. Play, hold, hold, play, hold, 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 hold. So see how that's making you learn how to play it right with the correct rhythm? And then as you get better at it, you could even increase your speed. Let's say we wanted to put it to 130 beats per minute. Then it would be like this. But I'm so excited that someone would be able to self-correct at home. You could literally teach yourself what to do by looking through the song slowly. Although in my program, I do even have a video that members can play through at a regular or a slower speed, because I want you to even have that backup confidence that you're doing something right. The other thing that I really love about piano with ease music that helps people have confidence and know exactly what they're doing is we have a skills box right here at the top. And once you know how to do the skills in the box, then you can be pretty confident that you'll be able to go through this song successfully knowing exactly what to do. If you've ever done a coda system before, we color code the codas so you know to go pink to pink, green to green, and then you have your simple repeat instead of being confused. We have our repeat sections following first and second endings, and we always put special visuals on those so you know exactly what you're doing. And like I said, we have hold arrows, and ties are just hold arrows on top of the note so you're not even tempted to replay it. And also on ties, they don't even have finger numbers up here, so you're not going to be tempted to play the notes again anyway, like people are in traditional music. But we have what's called a double, which is 2 notes fitting in one beat. So if I were playing the beat in the background, it's like we'd say the word double, double on every beat evenly like this. Double, double. It's just spreading the syllables evenly across the beat. And so right here in this last line, you see that we have a double right here. So that means the 1, 1 are going to play faster because it's like fitting 2 notes into one click. So this last line would be like 3, hold, hold, 1, hold, 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 double. So automatically that made us have the correct rhythm, like it helped us play that 1, 1 at the exact right speed. And again, if you're playing along with the click, 3, hold, hold, 1, hold, 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 double, 1, 1, 1, 2, and then we hold there. So those are some of the tips built in to help you be able to do a more complicated rhythm but quickly in piano with ease. And one of my goals is to teach my members how to think this way so they can choose other songs of their choice and be able to figure out what to do, because I can't possibly make every song in the world into a piano with ease version. Each song takes me a really long time to make actually. So next I'm going to show you how, if you only had this kind of sheet music, how you could plan your rhythms out. And I will say that the Piano with Ease Free Fallen version is linked in the description if you want to purchase your own copy of that version. So if you're already somewhat skilled at rhythm and you want to teach yourself how to play the right rhythm, then I'm going to show you some hacks for it right now. The first thing you want to do in any traditional sheet music is look at the time signature, which is this fraction looking number at the beginning of the lines. It looks like 4/4. The top number tells you how many beats are in each measure. This is saying there's 4 beats in each measure. And the bottom number you have to think of like a fraction. If you think about like 1/4. So the fraction 1/4 means a quarter. So it's telling you that in this song, the quarter note gets the beat. A quarter note is a filled-in black note with a stem, and each quarter note gets exactly 1 beat. For example, in your music, here are some black notes with a stem. Those would get exactly 1 beat. But the trouble with pop songs comes in when you have to start thinking of half beats, because a dotted quarter note means it gets 1.5 beats. And the flagged note, see how it has this flag on the end, means that only gets a half beat. It's called an eighth note. So it usually gets an eighth of a measure. So it's like this one only gets a half beat, but it's tied to half notes, which get 2 full beats because they're hollow. Any hollow note with a stem, it's like it gets 2/4 of the fraction, or 2 counts of each measure. So we have our 1.5 plus a half plus 2, that equals 4. So math does come into music and rhythm especially a lot. I paused the video and I wrote some of the different types of notes and how many counts or beats they get. So this flagged note is technically called an eighth note, and it only gets a half count per measure. This filled in note is a quarter note, and it gets 1 count per measure. A dotted quarter note gets 1.5 counts. The hollow note with the stem is called a half note. It gets 2 counts. The dotted hollow note is called a dotted half note, gets 3 counts. And the note that's just hollow with no stem is called a whole note, which gets 4 beats. So the trick that you have to do in each measure is you have to find the smallest fraction or the smallest note that exists inside that measure. You have to find the one that takes the least amount of time, which right here is our eighth note. The eighth note takes the least amount of time. It only gets a half count. And then you have to think about your measure in that fraction. In other words, you have to think about your measure having 8 counts, like an eighth note, so that you know exactly when you're playing everything. So that's like us saying we have 8/8 at the beginning time signature. And the eighth note is the one that gets the beat. We're going to have to figure out how to divide up our measure into 8 equal parts. So this dotted quarter note, which we see right here, which used to get 1.5 counts, then you would double that. Because now we're dividing the measure into 8 equal sections instead of 4 sections, because that's the easiest way to think of half counts. I'm going to use a different color for this, an orange highlighter. So when we see this dotted quarter note, then we doubled it, so that will take 3 beats. Now if we look at what comes next in the measure, right here, we have our eighth note. Right here you can see that it usually gets a half count if our measure had 4 beats in it. But now we're treating the measure as if it had 8 equal parts. So that means that our eighth note now gets 1 full beat, because half times 2 is 1. And our half note right here used to get 2 beats, but we double that and it's now 4. So our half note is the other 4 beats of the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. But you don't even play the half note because it was tied from the eighth note. So it's basically saying you play on this first beat, and then you play on this 4th beat, and then you just keep holding it since it's tied. You don't even play that one. So if you were going to play that, it would teach you to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So did you see how if I counted into 8 equal parts, it helped me play it in the exact right time? If I was to do it faster, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It helped me go right on beat. Now some people, instead of treating the measure as if it has 8 parts, if they want to still act like the measure has 4, then they'll do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. They'll count like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And that also helped you play at the exact right time, but it's sometimes hard for students to think about ands. Next, if we look down at this measure here, which is the one you can still easily see while you also see everything I wrote, if we were to look for the smallest note in this case, I actually didn't tell you about these ones that have the double line at the top. And those are called 16th notes. They're even smaller than an 8th note. For example, 2 lines at the top means there's 2 16th notes in a row. Or if it was a single note that had 2 flags at the top, those each only get 1/4 beat of a measure. And honestly, if we were to try and divide the measure into 16 counts, it just gets really overwhelming. So what I did in piano with these and what I'm going to recommend now is we're still going to keep dividing the measure into 8, but 2 16th notes equal an 1/8. So we're just going to put it in a green circle, and we're going to call that for now our double, because a double has to fit in 1 beat. So basically, like we did in the piano with these music, it's like a double is going to get 1 count. So that's one of our 8 parts of the measure. We already talked about how when we turn a measure into 8 counts, the 8th note, it's like it gets 1 beat. The quarter note, we double that, it now gets 2 beats. The 8th note, we double that, it now gets 1 beat. And then the dotted quarter note, which was 1.5, doubled, now gets 3. 1, 2, 3. So now we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 counts of the measure. And we know that on this 8th count right here, we have 2 notes to fit into 1 beat. So again, if we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we were playing along, it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I had to fit 2 notes into 1 beat right there. That is so much easier than dividing your measure into 16 parts. And again, it allowed you to play the right rhythm. Now what I did in piano with these is I visualized each beat by putting an arrow after. So the note would be your first beat, and anywhere you held would have an arrow. And anywhere that you tied would have arrows over the top of it, so you wouldn't even be tempted to play those notes again. So it'd be like this. So that would also help you be able to play through, because you would have note, note, hold, note, hold, 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 double. So you see how fast and easily you were able to play through that measure? So in that case, you can completely erase all of the counting lines that you drew and just see it like this. It looks so much more simplified. Hold, 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 hold. So for this particular song, once you start dividing it into 8 beats per measure, I would keep that for the whole rest of the song. Don't like switch back from thinking about it into 4 beats, into 8 beats. Whatever you start with, you want to keep going with that in the song. Now I'm taking a little bit harder of a measure. So when there's only 1 line on the top of a connected note, it's kind of like the note that had 1 flag. That's an 8th note, or these two can be 2 8th notes in a row because then they have 1 line. If it was going to be a 16th note, it'd have 2 lines on the top or 2 flags. So I'm going to put it back to 8th. So again, this measure, the 8th would get 1 beat. We could think about those 2 16th notes as fitting in 1 beat, like we talked about earlier on the other measure. Now we have another 8th note, so that's like it gets 1 beat. This double got 1 beat. This 8th note gets 1 beat. This 8th note gets 1 beat, but it's also grouped with this half note on the bottom. That's kind of the exception, because they want you to hold out the half note on the bottom while you play these notes. So for this purpose, we're going to pretend those half notes aren't there. Just look at the top note. Now we have our quarter note, which before we said gets 2 beats, and our 8th note. Now we have the whole measure divided into 8 parts again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when we're playing that, again, we have to do the double, fitting 2 notes in 1 beat. So it'd be like play, double, tie, play, tie, play, hold, play. So again, that's a lot to think about if you don't write the hold arrows. So again, I would write the hold arrow right over the tie. Again, right over this tie. We're pretending these aren't here for now, for this purpose. The quarter note plays, but it gets another beat, so that's a hold, and then your 8th note. So now when we erase the lines, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things in the measure still, but it's much easier to play like this. Note, double, hold, note, hold, play, hold, play. And faster it would be. And see, that was the exact correct rhythm. So if this was really overwhelming for you and your brain was like, I don't even get this, I don't even know what she was just talking about, then you probably don't know enough rhythm to be able to take any pop song and divide it up like this. If you're in my membership, I do help people with this kind of thing, but if you're trying to do it on your own, you might need to get a piano teacher or get help from someone that really understands rhythm. If you don't understand what I showed you, don't even attempt this. Just try and find a recording and play right along with this. So to recap, in this video, we talked about pop songs or songs with tricky rhythm and why they're so challenging to play. We talked about some solutions you could do, either to plan out your own rhythm or to play along with the recording or to use a piano with ease version that already plans it out for you. Please let me know if anyone has additional questions about rhythm and I can answer them on future videos. And if you've never had the opportunity to try a song in the Piano with Ease style, there's actually one attached to this video that you can learn for free. You can request your free guide and tutorial to play a song today. Thank you so much for watching.